Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Robleski, was the meeting properly posted?
It was.
Thank you. This is a regular meeting of the School District of Menominee Falls Board of Education. It is being held in the Village Hall Boardroom at West 156 North 8480 Pilgrim Road in Menominee Falls. A live broadcast is being televised on Time Warner Spectrum Cable Channel 25. To watch the recorded meeting, please visit our website at www.fallschools.org/board and click on Watch Live or View Archived Media. Mr. Blesky, can we do roll call attendance? And Dr. Walker is excused this evening.
Board President Grant,
Here.
Board Member Wren,
Here.
Board Member Langer,
Here.
Board Member Schmeling,
Here.
Board Member Kramer,
Here.
and Board Member Holzman.
Here. Okay, thank you. I need a motion to approve today's meeting agenda.
Make the motion.
Okay, motion has been made by Board Member Langer. Can I have a second, please? I'll second. Seconded by Board Member Wren. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Are there any public comment forms this evening? No?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, great. All right, well, we do have a number of very special guests here this evening for the finest, and Mr. Munoz, I think you'll be kicking that off?
Yeah, we're excited to have all of our, several of our Valley View students here with us tonight and their families and loved ones. So we're excited to have all of these students here, along with Principal Kimmelson, who's going to have a few words to say. So I'm going to help line all of them up, but I'm excited to tell at least the students I was able to talk to individually and their families that we will certainly have them home in time for the Packer game. So,
All right, well, good evening. My name is Jenny Tamlinson, and so happy to be here tonight with all of you. I have the great honor and privilege of being the principal at Valley View Elementary, and each month we introduce a new school-wide character trait. This is one of the many ways we build a positive school culture on core values. Tonight we celebrate the heart of our school, kindness. When we talk about kindness, we're not talking simply about being nice. Niceness can be passive. Kindness, on the other hand, is an action. It is quiet but powerful choice to see someone else's need, to offer support without being asked, and to ensure that everyone feels respected and included. It is the student who shares their lunch with a friend, the one who patiently explains a tough concept to a classmate, or the one who notices someone sitting alone and invites them to join the group. These small acts are the glue that holds our entire school community together at Valley View. To our students of the month, I know you didn't do these things for the award, and that's precisely why you deserve it. You have made our hallways brighter, our classrooms safer, and our school a better place just by being who you are. Thank you for setting a powerful example. Keep shining, keep connecting, and never stop leading with kindness. So congratulations to all of our incredible students of the month, and I'm going to announce each one individually here. So Valley View, when you hear your name, even if you're way in the back, I want you to come on up to get your award, okay?
and I'm going to have you guys start lining up on this side, just as Mrs. Hamilton calls you up, going up from this side to this side, and you can face your parents, and then you can turn around to the board as well at the end. All right?
All right, I'm going to introduce fifth grade first. So fifth grade, come forward. Arthur Morse.
Arthur. Yep, this way. Congratulations. Motion that up. Why don't you go down here and welcome.
Jackson Dean. Jonathan Gromowski. Brayden Miller. All right, fourth grade, Hannah Hurd. Eliana Crone. Corabella Swakowski. Isabella Hammond.
You're doing great. Here, great job. Take that, you can open that up, and the ladies are gonna get to it.
And Sierra Preston. All right, third graders, Audrey Robb. Eleanor Smith. Eleanor Smith.
Make sure I have the right one. We got you.
Charlotte Detmering. And Camila Suarez.
Congratulations. All right. Why don't you take your plaques out of the, and take a look at them? Why don't you line up this way? Why don't you come this way? You don't have to be in any order, just go in the way you are. There you go. All the way down to your principal down there. You can open it up and pull it out and keep the little sleeve behind. You're doing great. You're doing great. All right. Let's face your moms and dads. Oh, here, take the plaque out. Kind of show it out over there. You want to such a great group of young students. Would anybody like to say anything to the school board? You don't have to. Go ahead. Go ahead. You're right over here. You speak into this mic.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. This means so much to me. It just gives my head a cold feeling, which is basically a thankfulness, you know. Thank you so much.
Anybody else? Perfectly okay. You don't have to. No pressure. All right. Why don't you go back with your moms and dads? All right. One more group to recognize here, and then after that, parents and students and the building and ground staff that are here. You can stay for the entire meeting and possibly miss the start of the Packer game, or feel free, once we're done recognizing another great group of individuals here that work in the district, feel free to leave right after that as well. A few moments here, okay? So I'd like to bring up front right now the Director of Building and Grounds, Mr. Chris Carlton. What we have been recognized with in the state of Wisconsin is quite the award. It's quite the award. As you can see on the screen there, it's the 2025 WASBO Facility Team of the Year for the state of Wisconsin. So really excited about that. That in the school district of Menominee Falls, we work really hard at doing extremely everything that we can with those things that we have. And what I can tell you, with all of our staff that are here, if there's a flood or something, I can talk to them on the weekends. If there's a snow, which they got down in, I guess Kenosha was closed today, right? Some principal friends of mine texted me to go, oh, we're out of school today. But I can talk to a lot of these folks at 3 in the morning, where they're texting me at 3 in the morning before I send messages out to the families. So think about that in terms of this staff. A little bit more from Chris Carlton here.
First of all, that 3 o'clock in the morning thing, that's a true thing. In any event,
Sorry, sorry. But you seem to be up.
yeah. I'm like, let me guess. In any event, so we're well represented here tonight by the facilities folks. The reason that I really like this reward, or this recognition, actually for a few different things. First of all, I'm honored to be a part of that group. A lot of selfless servant leaders that really are here because they know what to do and really line ourselves up with like the strategic goals of the district and really put themselves in a place to enhance the education for the kiddos and the community members' experience. So those are 2 really big things. I will tell you, we have also been leaders in like the quality scorecards throughout the district. I just feel really good about this group. David has alluded to like emergency responders. I can think of, like he had mentioned, floods. I can remember 2 different conversations that Joel Weber and myself had, where literally every single person we had called on a moment's notice on a Sunday, and everybody showed up. Just a great, great feeling. They represent teamwork with the best of them. The other part that I like is when we talk about facilities, it's just not our custodians. It's our route driver, it's our maintenance technicians, it's our again, our route drivers, but all of our custodians as well. We've got a lot of them here, but there's no way we could leave our buildings empty today. So for all of you who came tonight, thank you very much. I appreciate that very much.
What I will add for the parents present and also the board, but also the community listening, is that often our first week, if there's an incident and doors are locked and these sorts of things, this is the crew that's taking care of all that. From like a school safety perspective, half of our staff is certified staff, so teachers or administrators, and the other half, there are a lot of other staff, like the ones right here. And you can't run a great district like this without support staff like this and staff like this that are educators just like the rest of us, making the whole thing go extremely well. So we're proud of you guys. Thank you. Why don't we bring you guys all up front right now, and we have different plaques for different buildings. So why don't we break it up? High school on this side, middle school, and then Valley View is next. Come on up. High school over here on this side, and I'm going to hand out group plaques for everybody. So high school over here, middle school, Valley View is next. And Valley View, like you guys recognize somebody from Valley View here, right? And then Shady Lane, then Riverside, and then Ben Franklin, and then district staff over here. So if you're not assigned to a building, I know we have a lot of people here as well. So let me just run down the group. Yep. High school. That's right. High school. Middle school team. That's for the guys at the end. Riverside. Please, yeah. Valley View. Hey, say hi to Valley View. You can say, wow, he's part of the district too. He's not just at Valley View. What did I say after that? Shady Lane, Shady Lane. There we go. Okay, Riverside. And this is district. We can float that down this way. So let's give the crew a big round of applause. They do a great job. You don't have to, just like the students. If not, I'm going to give the board an opportunity to say a few things, and then we'll be done with the presentations. But congratulations, Valley View students, and our building and ground staff, all of you. You're amazing. You're awesome. I appreciate you. I know the board appreciates you, so thank you. School board members, or do anybody have any comments? Or
Yeah, I actually love the award nights and the recognition that we're able to give our students we are a desired district. We take care of our students, and, thank you for all of your work. It's not unseen, and congratulations to all the students who won awards tonight as well. I think it really speaks to not necessarily looking for recognition, but being able to see that in other people, and well deserved. So thank you very much.
One last quick note, this is for the parents. We thought of putting candy in there as a gift, we decided against that. You're welcome. And, but there is a gift card in there, the Phoenix store, for each one of the students. So if for some reason they didn't receive a gift card, it's with a pen, and there's a piece of paper attached in there, there's a gift card for the Phoenix store as well. So, which I think they might have some candy in there as well, so just be careful there, parents. Thank you. We're gonna move on with the rest of our meeting at this time, but feel free to stay for the meeting, or go Packers. Here on out, Hey, you're awesome. Thank you. Thank you. You're awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You bet. Thanks, Stuart.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is being the reports section. And do you have any reports from board members? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no, and we'll move on. Superintendent Munoz?
Yes, I have several items. Sorry about that. Just adjusting to the mic strength there. Just 1 second. I did send a copy to everybody, and mine is here. Oh, we're good. I think. Unless one of the kids dropped it accidentally. No. Yes, I will take your copy. Sorry about that. One thing is the Ascension Regional Business Development Director, Mr. Brett Brandner, was working with our social workers and Mr. Halverson on some expansion of our collaborations, some tabletop exercises. Right now, they're starting with food donations. I think it was a nice collaboration I thought you should know about. There was a Thanksgiving message that I put out in the bulletin. I think I had sent that out in a previous message. I just thought I'd put it out there. Thank you to both Shelley Bolzman and Travis Langer for being at the Veterans Day ceremony. Veterans Day is actually tomorrow, so happy Veterans Day to all veterans. I think in the room, and if I get this wrong, it's Board Member Langer and Mr. Halverson. Who's more? I apologize for missing, but congratulations, happy Veterans Day, and thank you. There is a 4th grade singing presentation that I linked in, which is awesome. They really did a great job, those Riverside students. It was quite the presentation. We added high school students this year, so Master Singers did a presentation, and we also had some National Honor Society students welcoming veterans, which really was nice, and then stayed to the end as well. So that was a nice, adjustment. They're always doing a great job. Special thanks to Lori Ortel on Jason's team. Really did a great job of, she always does, of getting all those things arranged that way. So those that just came to the event, seemed like it went really smooth and really quick. That sort of thing takes hours and hours and days of preparation. So thank you, Lori, for that. There's a link in there, the Wisconsin Policy Forum, and it looks like there was actually a state article that went out in the Journal Sentinel, I think it was today, along these same lines. So the Wisconsin Policy Forum, a lot of people look at it. It's something that I subscribe to because I think they have some really good research, some good information. This particular piece was about teacher licensure. So there's an interactive map in the link that I sent to the board. We don't necessarily have many. We have some on emergency licensures, but some larger districts, it's surprisingly a higher percentage than you might think with that. So I don't think it's necessarily a problem, but it's something to be aware of. I think there's nothing wrong with teachers that are emergency licensed. The information more had to do with resistance at the state level. Like I said in my write-up, sometimes it's easier to leave the state of Wisconsin, get licensed as a teacher, and come back, and that more has to do with the bureaucratic problem of the state of Wisconsin, not any issue with the quality of those teachers on emergency licensure. Next item is transcripted credits. I linked in a piece from WCTC. I'll actually be there in the morning for a summit, but some of this is a transcripted credit report of the most recent public release from Wisconsin, from Waukesha County Technical College. And what it essentially shows is all the schools who have what's called transcripted credits and with WCTC. What that essentially means is that our teachers are teaching students curriculum that counts as both high school credit and college credit at the same time. So the students are receiving both. They never have to leave the high school. So there's comparisons in that picture that I sent out, and that's publicly available through WCTC. But large and short of it is over $200,000 in saved expenses that parents don't have to pay for those college classes. 2 out of my 3 children in a different district finished their entire freshman year before leaving high school. And that's not uncommon. That can happen with a lot of students. Last piece in there, I put in some information about this community ed and rec construction update with photos. That went in this morning. Thank you, Jason. I know you're sitting back there. He always does a great job of giving updates with photos. I threw that in there this morning as an update. But long and short of it, what you'll see within the next few weeks, windows are in, which is exciting, which means they're shortly going to be turning on the heat. I think most of the board members here walk through inside, so what will be happening is it'll look mostly done within a few weeks, but really they have a lot of electrical and plumbing work, flooring, that sort of thing, painting inside. So, and putting in the new wood floor, which will be going in later this month, or the early part of December. So exciting news. That should be opening in January, so we're excited about that, because it is a community center, right? It's community ed and rec, it's a community center for our entire community. But adding a gym, that's just a small part of this, and it's a large gym that can help the whole school district and the whole community when you have an additional gym available for any number of different activities, community activities or school activities, depending. Questions? Thank you, Mr.
And then our student board member report.
Great, so on October 28th, the boys varsity volleyball team played the sectionals versus Germantown. Unfortunately, their season ended that day, but they finished off a great season with lots of improvement from last year. And boys soccer ended their great playoff run on October 30th versus a tough match versus the first ranked Brookfield East team. The boys persevered through lots of challenges that year and ended up having a really nice underdog storyline. And for cross country, Wyatt Pierce competed at state and placed 28th overall out of about 180 runners. And same with Macy Bulow. She placed 31st overall at state, and both of them had a great season. For girls volleyball, they had a comeback win versus Slinger on October 30th to become regional champions. And unfortunately, on November 1st, for state sectionals, they lost versus Hamilton. And the girls had a tremendous season and had lots of improvements. For girls swim, they will, on Saturday, November 8th at Germantown, they competed in the sectionals, and they were the D1 sectionals runners-up and had many state qualifiers. And for dance, they started their competition season on Saturday in Sheboygan Falls, and they placed third place in kick, first in the D1 jazz, first in D2 pom, and had 7 dancers finish in the top 10 for solos. For activities at Menominee Falls High School right now, we're focused on World Kindness Day, brought to you by Best Buddies and the Falls Pride student leaders. It's focusing on uniting students from many different grades, many different backgrounds, and just ultimately working together to be kind with the trademark or the slogan for this year's kindness is contagious. This has been seen from homeroom slides that every student got and have multiple activities, such as friendship bracelet making, just activities throughout a bunch of different Phoenix times during school day next week.
And is that the group that Miss Taylor?
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
So Miss Taylor is a group of, was it 30 kids or?
The Falls Pride has like 10.
10, okay. So I was talking with Miss Taylor about it before the board, and you really do a great job with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to be moving on to our discussion items, and someone you need to leave for practice. So, thank you for coming. And an excellent report. All right, so moving on to discussion items, we have only one item this evening, and I think Mr. Munoz is going to.
Yep, this is a notice of election for Board of Education. This notice is hereby given in accordance with Wisconsin Statute 120.06 sub 6 sub B, that an election will be held in the school district of Menominee Falls on Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. The following offices are to be elected to succeed the present incumbents listed. The notice goes on further. This has already been posted for the record, but all three, the incumbents, Sarah Wren, Joel Woppert, Shelley Holzman. The only difference is that the first two, Sarah Wren and Dr. Woppert, they have 3-year terms ending April 22nd, 2029, depending on who gets elected. That's how long the term runs. So this is a standard notice about the length of the term, and the term for the newly appointed board member's seat. The seat for that particular term is a 2-year term because it's the remainder of Dr. Christensen's 3-year term. So that would be ending in April 23rd of 2028. That's all listed in the notice, along with the specifics, which we will also post. Anything else about that?
I have 2 questions. First, how does that look on a ballot, that there's a 3-year term and a 2-year term?
Yeah, we discussed that with legal counsel when some of this came up, and the way that it was explained to me and how it looks on the ballot, I can't answer, but I can answer this much, that the top 3 vote getters, the top 2 vote getters would receive the 3-year terms.
Okay.
And the 3rd highest vote getter would receive the 2nd-year term. That was occurring according to legal counsel. So my guess is, based on that feedback from our legal counsel, the board's legal counsel actually, that it would look very similar to any other ballot in terms of randomization. It just would be the third highest vote getter. So the, the number 3 person would get the 2-year term, is the way that it was explained to me by the board's legal counsel.
Okay,
All right?
thank you.
Cool.
And then second, so I'm familiar with like that if a board member, a current sitting board member is not running, they have to, right, isn't there like, they have to let them know before the second Friday?
Peggy can explain.
Well, what if the second Friday is December 26th?
Peggy can explain that.
It's still a valid date, and we will be open until 5 p.m. to accept that paperwork. We are asking if you could call ahead of time, so we are present when you would like to come. That would be fantastic, but you do have until 5 p.m. on December the 26th to file that paperwork.
But we would, of course, be very thankful if we know beforehand, but acknowledge our duty, so we will both be here on the 26th until 4, 5, until 5 p.m. on the 26th, if need be for that. All right?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next section would be statements from the audience, however, there are none. So then we'll move to our action items. The first action item is the Neola Policy 2000. And I guess I would need a motion.
There's only one piece before the motion, if that's okay.
Okay, that's fine.
President Grant is 2522, after our policy committee meeting, it's library and media centers. Dr. Thompson, our Neola rep, and myself, in looking at that policy, there was duplications. When you laid it down and looked at it and read it, there were actually things that were said, it was like 50, we had to, so instead of us making the decision, we didn't feel comfortable with that, we're gonna bring it back to policy and mark it out the way we think it should read, because it really, the way that it laid, if you look back at the policy committee, there's very similar words in one paragraph to the next. We think we know why, but we want to make sure to put that back in front of policy committee. So you'll notice in your list of policies, 2522 is not in it. So the motion would still be approved as presented, because Dr. Thompson highly recommended that we pull it out, bring it back to policy, just like we're doing with 3112 today. Make sure that it's all right, and then bring it back to the next meeting. That's 2522 only.
Okay, so I will need a motion to approve the first read preliminary approval of the Neola 2000 policies, again, as presented.
Motion?
We have a motion, can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor, or any further discussion?
I do.
So a couple questions. First, with policy 2120, continuous quality improvement, just
Yes.
wondering, is there an AG that will accompany that?
There may be, but this is a policy that we've, if I remember correctly, when we were drafting these with Ms. Riebel, that we largely took our existing continuous improvement policy because of our work with Studer.
Okay.
That because of that, we had just drafted a policy that was very much linked to our work with Studer in continuous improvement. So there may be, but it'll be aligned with that work.
Okay.
We'll be getting to AGs to fully answer your question within the next few weeks. We haven't even received the templates yet, but we will.
Yeah, that's okay.
We will shortly.
Right, because I go back and forth, because there'll be like really specific questions, and I'll be like, oh, maybe that's more on the administrative guidelines. So that's why I asked.
Yeah, and this particular policy, 2120, is largely, and this is why it's listed, School District of Menominee Falls, and it's not at all templated with Neola. This is our policy.
Okay.
So this isn't under a Neola template, but very much something that is part of what we do
our continuous improvement cycle and approach to professional development, but also learning.
And then we did discuss at policy committee, to the point of bringing up, once we review the AG, if that drives different decision-making in the policies, there will be the opportunity to go back and finalize a draft at that point in time, so that they drop. Okay.
Actually, that's a good point. Yeah, we did discuss that we can always pull a policy after looking at the AGs. Yes, that was discussed at policy committee.
Thank you. All right, also, 2260.02, services for bilingual students and English learners. So just a clarification, I noticed that the director of special education is listed in in the two spots that were, that you could enter someone in to say who takes the count of the students receiving EL services and involving parents. Like, I get that you would insert a district administrator there. I'm wondering, why is it the director of special education that's responsible for that?
There's some dual responsibilities with respect to bilingual students. Some of that crosses into Mr. Halverson's zone. We've recently had a change, which I directed be done. We could have waited, but it seemed initially, when this year started, this particular bilingual services and English learners was housed in curriculum. That's usually not the case in just about any district. So we use this policy and this time to actually right-size it. So Mr. Halverson is overseeing generally EL services, but there is some, obviously, collaboration with special education, depending on the testing.
Okay.
Because involvement of school psychologist falls under special education.
Okay. So then I think about the organizational chart, the 2025 one, and it
Yep.
says EL teachers are under director of CLA. So why wouldn't it be under director of special education?
Yeah, we need to change that.
Oh.
That is a change.
Okay.
We need to change the org chart, because that change occurred since the last board meeting via my directive. So we need to change the org chart itself. It's a good catch, but Mr. Halverson is now overseeing EL services.
Oh.
He's met with all of those teachers,
Okay.
and they've already initiated that process, including not just meetings, but
Evaluation?
everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Didn't know.
yep.
Okay.
So that's new since the last board meeting, but that was, they were very aware of it.
Just
and-
kidding.
And the teachers are very receptive and excited about the change.
Great.
So,
Okay, cool. Then another question I have is, so I completely understand, we're not gonna just take all the Neola policies, and so obviously there are some that are deleted.
Mhm.
So I just want a clarification on the policy 2421 titled Career and Tech Ed Program.
Yep.
Like, why was that deleted? It was just talking about, career and tech ed, the program, and, right, I think that to me sounds like trades, and so I was just wondering, is that because we're doing something and it's a policy somewhere else, or?
Yeah, I don't have that direct answer, but I can get
Okay.
the answer for you. I know that curriculum was involved in this directly, along with principals and whomever was needed to help. It could have been a redundancy. Ms. Riegel, are you able to speak to that?
I don't have it in front of me, but I think we talked about what was required by law, what was necessary, what was appropriate, and then what gave us flexibility.
Yes.
Just because something isn't in policy doesn't mean we do it, it might be addressed somewhere else.
Okay.
So, but once we put it in policy, then, sometimes we don't have the flexibility we want to make shifts and additions. So,
Okay.
that was part of the decision-making process.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then lastly, for the 2000s, related to 2521 supplemental educational materials selection, I would like to know, so the first sentence is, the board is responsible for the selection of all supplemental education material. Can you explain what that statement means?
Just exactly what it says. You know, that could be through policy. I mean, obviously, that's going to be coming through curriculum committee. So the board so the Board of Education is an extent, I mean, the committees are an extension of the board, moving that through the consent agenda or the regular agenda. So the board is responsible for selection of all supplemental educational materials or
Okay.
challenges thereof.
So the reason I ask about this is because I feel like it could be easily misinterpreted and imply micromanagement. So I wanted to be cautious with that since I know that's not our role as a board. So I understand like as a board, we'll approve like, right, big picture, like a math textbook or primary reading program. And supplemental to me is more like teacher on the spot has to differentiate instruction. Like, how do they do that if they don't have board approval?
There's a process we'll get to that in the AGs. That's
Okay.
currently in our existing procedures.
So I'll
Oh.
save that for my AG questions.
Well, that's specifically in our procedures right now. In our procedures right now, the answer to your question is in our procedures right now. So if there's a question about what supplemental material, if a teacher has a question, there's a process and a form for them to follow with the principal. So that'll be carried forward with the AGs. So the
The plan
second,
is to have the same procedure?
yes,
Hmm.
yes.
We talked a little bit in committee that perhaps there was some feedback that came in that there is an opportunity to review the process to make sure that it's not laborious. I won't promise that we're making any changes, but I do think that it's brought up in our committee to just take a closer look and make sure that the steps that have been laid out and are in place today still make sense.
Yeah.
To be able to accommodate any short-term requests that come around, and especially if there's a sense of urgency to cover our topic. So I think we'll look at it through a fuller lens and make sure that the policy as it stands today meets all those needs and provide the ease of use to the people that are living with that policy in classrooms.
Yeah, I think that that'd be great, because I even remember when that was implemented, even the question of like Scholastic Book Fair books, and if a teacher had a basket of them, were they filling out, that parents paid to donate, then are they filling out these forms for every single Scholastic book? And so it's a lot of time commitment that then I thought, parents didn't realize that it's not just like, oh, this book goes to your classroom because I got it from a Scholastic Book Fair, that it actually was a huge cumbersome process for one example. So I do think it would be good.
I do think that that would fall under donations, and donations do have to be approved. So whether it's, you can't have just anybody donating anything without any kind of oversight. And again,
Yeah, I'm
the board
not
is
implying
responsible
that.
at a high level for everything, whether it be curriculum. So, I mean, there is a policy, and we have current policies, and we'll certainly fine tune them, but the board is ultimately responsible for anything that is within the school district. So
Yeah,
I don't think that that's a bad statement to start off with.
I do,
Saying
because as an
that we are
educator,
responsible for the selection of supplemental materials and curriculum.
I totally understand curriculum, for sure. I feel like it's been reiterated to me many times that, right, I'm not to be in the day-to-day micromanagement, and I believe supplemental, based on my experience as an educator, how I brought supplemental materials in, wasn't from a space of like, it was more for, I need to differentiate instruction, or a child is struggling reading, and I know I have this thing that I've used before that could help. Like, I think it really brings in a lot more work and forms that adds more burden and work for the professionals, and it can get fuzzy into the trust that we have in our professionals if every supplemental material has to be approved by us. Because we don't have as the professional expertise to the same degree that the educators do.
Really, the procedures that are in place, which I support, are making sure that when people differentiate, because I'm a teacher too, so when I was teaching and differentiating lessons, whatever I was using as a supplemental material needed to be aligned to the curriculum.
Yeah,
And this process is simply making sure of that alignment.
with additional forms and work.
It's making sure of that alignment, which is my responsibility for the board.
Okay, any further questions or comments? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
All right, the motion passes. And then we'll move on to the next item. So that's going to be the Neola 8000 policies. So I will need a motion to approve the first read preliminary approval of the Neola 8000 policies as presented.
I'll motion.
Have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Comments or discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. And then, let's see, item C is Neola policy 3112, which we had postponed, and then we passed the rest of the 3000s. So I'll need a motion to approve the first read preliminary approval of Neola policy 3112 as presented.
I'll motion.
Okay, I have a motion by board member Holzman. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by board member Langer. Comments or discussion on policy 3112?
I do. What is the primary intent behind this policy?
And to establish the chain of communications, one of the reasons we brought this back was suggestions from the board, which we followed. This fell under human resources, so Leah was working on this. We were asked to bring some new language that was less directive, which is what we did. We brought that through policy, and they agreed that this was what they were looking for from the policy committee. Leah?
Neola's language sounded harsh and included more significant disciplinary language towards an employee for not following the chain of command. I think Neola wrote it strictly, because if you look at it, there's a Supreme Court case which discusses the fact that while government employees have First Amendment rights, those rights actually don't apply to you when you're acting in your role or speaking on subject matter contained within your role. And so there can be a confusion for folks that this Supreme Court case that they use in the policy to kind of clarify that, well, maybe you can speak real freely over here. That doesn't apply to how you talk in the workplace, to people in the workplace, or about the workplace in your actual role in that workplace. And the other Seventh Circuit case allows for a chain of command to be put into public sector employment, because the original case was brought by somebody saying, you can't prevent me from going right to the top because that's my First Amendment right. So the two cases kind of play together. I think more just as a reminder to employees that we still have employment structures kind of separate from our private First Amendment rights. And we actually softened it a lot so that it didn't sound quite as disciplinary. But it's a standard policy, and even non-Neola districts have something very similar based on those two cases.
Okay, so as a board member, I do believe we have a responsibility to understand the real experiences. And so in practice, what does it look like for board members to hear directly from staff?
Yeah, so I think at any point in time, any staff person can go anywhere they want to talk to whomever they want. What we're hoping in the chain of command, though, is for the folks in that chain to respect the one below them. So if a teacher has an issue that is really best dealt with by a principal, and that's the first place we feel professionally and respectfully it should start, any one of us that's above that level on the chain of command should be encouraging that person back to that level. As an individual board member, you have no individual ability to do anything. And if you wanted to do something, you'd have to bring it to us to do or convince everyone to take a vote on it. So it's really just making sure people understand the best place to start is the place that knows it the best. And then to have this kind of naturally built-in kind of appeals level to keep upgrading your issue if you don't feel it was resolved at the appropriate place. But even though people want to go to a board member, you're actually the least able to individually do anything, whereas we actually do have more opportunity to, fix, help, support, whatever that thing was. But we would never prevent anyone from talking to you, but we appreciate everybody in the structure, respecting the structure and encouraging that structure.
Right. So, okay, so is there any space in that policy to explain that more? Because right now I read it very much like keeping board and staff away from each other versus collaboration or versus, like I said, right, I'm in a, I can speak for myself as a board member. I'm in a decision-making space, and obviously I'm one of 7. I do not think I have a unilateral vote. But I'm in a decision-making space, and so my mind will go to, well, I need to understand what's going on at all levels in order to make an informed decision. And if I'm only hearing from district administration, then I'm missing information from the principal perspective and their expertise and from staff expertise.
Yeah, and I think you can just hear from anyone, generally, about what they think about something. That being said, if somebody says, I just got disciplined by my principal in HR, and I want you to do something, and then they start telling you everything, you're actually making yourself now unavailable to sit in the grievance procedure because you are no longer neutral or unbiased because you have information you shouldn't have. And so
That's an important part of, one of the reasons why this is in place, that the board itself has one employee, and that's me. And the rest of the employment structure flows through me via the principals mostly, but also the directors. So I think it's really good advice that Leah is giving, not only as our human resources director, but also a trained lawyer.
Yeah, don't mess with my grievance procedure. I do think it's very common for employees to email or call or mail or hand something to a board member about, hey, this is going on and I think you should know. And I think all that is fine. It's once people start looking to the board to act on behalf of them as an individual or a very specific thing that impacts them as an individual that you start to get into that area that can kind of create some issues with how you get to act in your role in the future. So, I don't know, if Valley View has, something, they were all here, they were really sweet, but, if Valley View has, the teachers think there's an issue, they can tell you. They can tell you, but you should really be steering them back to Mrs. Damlingson.
Or me,
Or the superintendent. I mean, like I said, I still feel like going as close to the source is best, but, if you know you're gonna be taking a vote, on something budgetarily that impacts Riverside specifically, there's no harm in people from Riverside talking to you about that. You just wanna make sure that you're not blurring the line between you as a board member and you as an individual representative for somebody's personal cause. So.
I remember when I was a teacher and someone went to the principal and said it to me about some kid got an F or a D, or I was, they're complaining about someone else's class being too tough or something like that. I remember telling the principal at the time in Manitowoc, I'm happy to call the parent, no problem. I wasn't aware.
Right.
I wasn't aware. So in that same situation, we want to make sure to respect the chain of command because there's principals or assistant principals or other supervisors like you saw in here that may have no idea, so they just need an opportunity to respond inside of the procedures and the policies that we have in place for complaints, if you will. If people are skipping the complaint procedure and complaint policy altogether, then why even have it?
So then, so it's interesting to me that this has been labeled board staff communications versus understanding something, because from what I hear you saying, it's more about the grievance process, or more about if there's a concern, because you have to do grievance, so that this whole go to your principal, then you know
I mean, not to be negative, people aren't usually coming to you to just rave about everything. Usually they're seeking out, in this scenario, they're seeking you out to take care of something, or to tell you about something that they don't like or want. I mean, I hate to say this, but policies and procedures are created because usually somebody did something that we have to create a policy or procedure against or for. Just like the tag on your mattress, all the warning labels on everything. So unfortunately, a lot of policies and procedures are, especially in my area, are often telling people what they can't do. Because somebody did it a long time ago and we don't want anybody else doing it. So the main reasons for a policy like this are to prevent the board from handling things at a level that it shouldn't be handling, reminding the board to push things back into the appropriate place for things, and reminding employees that there is not just an automatic path directly to the board to take all of your problems. We do have internal processes for that. It's just how policies and procedures often are. Like I said, we tried to soften it. This is a Neola template, as it was with their title. I think it could be called plenty of other things if we want. We can reword it again too, but it is trying to remind people that there are still some rules in place for how you act in the workplace, even though you do have these First Amendment protections that people in the private sector don't have.
I think Leah's explanation of the two legal cases that are cited are a critically important aspect of this policy. Probably the most important part of the policy is the legal references in 2006 and 2008, which he verbally did a great job of summarizing, but that's the reason for the policy, really.
So is it more a reminder to staff?
Both.
I would say both. The Menominee Falls School District is small, and you all live in a very small part of the whole village. It's not even a whole village. And so I do feel that staff may think they might have more access to you than maybe they would otherwise because they know you. Your kids went to school together. You're on the same rec team. Your siblings are best friends from grade school. It's really a reminder for staff and for you that we do have very defined roles. No matter what our relationships may be otherwise, you are always available to each and every employee, but they need to understand that it is unlikely that you will be able to individually take care of any of the things that they bring to you, other than passing it back down to the appropriate person in the chain. So I do worry about that a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I worry about a lot of things that people don't worry about, so, but
Right,
yes.
I did still view this as more punitive than collaborative, because, like all of us, we speak to lots of people, and I feel it's very clear from the professionals I speak to that you gotta go to principal, I am one person. I might have the title of board member, but I'm on a board.
Yeah, so these cases are big cases. The Seventh Circuit and the Supreme Court, those are kind of the two biggest places you'll end up going. And they're not that long ago. which
Yeah.
means people did not understand this in 2006. And so I think that's why Neola put an emphasis on this that maybe we didn't have in the district prior. But one would think that in 2006 and 2008, people understood the public sector workplace, but they clearly didn't. Because we had two major cases,
Yeah.
which were kind of interesting to read if you read them. But
I mean,
I'm open to whatever the board wants. I mean, I don't know if this policy isn't really an HR policy, but I'm probably impacted by it through other more structured processes. But unfortunately, just a lot of these things are written in a way to remind people that there actually could be something punitive that happens to you if you don't understand the professionalism and respect that is still required in the workplace versus your private life. So there is a possible punitive component that could happen to somebody if they didn't respect the workplace part of the public sector. I think that's why I turned like that.
So, like, is there space in this policy that says, like, this policy doesn't restrict board members from visiting schools or speaking to staff that about non-evaluative, like a listening capacity?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I honestly haven't read all the other ones
This doesn't restrict you in that regard at all.
Okay.
It's not written that way at all.
I think the most important sentence in this is it says, "This procedure is not intended to deny any staff member the right to raise matters of concern regarding the district operations to the board through established procedures when no resolution is reached by the administration." And I cannot for the life of me imagine that any of our fantastic principals could not come to a conclusion of a problem or any situation at all. And if they can't, then Superintendent Munoz would be able to figure it out. I don't understand what the punitive part of that is.
No, you're right, that sentence does not sound punitive.
Right, no, but I'm saying, like, I think all of our great teachers and especially the principals understand that, and I don't see why they wouldn't be able to come to a conclusion. Unless it's a,
Well, you can talk to Leah. Leah has probably seen times where it's not.
I mean, it
So,
happens.
and all good policies are written for the 1% or the 5%.
Right.
But
The
what's,
vast majority of our staff, I agree, wouldn't, you know, I'm certain there's an incident here or there over. in
but
the
once
state
again,
of Wisconsin.
that's why you, after the principal, if it's an HR thing, you have me, you have David. So if a principal is ignoring you, this is saying, well, now you gotta go to the next level.
Right.
Because that person didn't take care of you. And it actually does say you get to go to the next person. I think what it's trying to say is to not circumvent yourself up and to expect that to be pushed back down. But then there is that still component from the Supreme Court where, you know, just because this is the public sector and I have First Amendment rights, David's gonna laugh. I can't just say whatever I want to him, however I want to, although he's
Right.
gonna disagree with that statement. I still have to understand that even though I do have First Amendment rights, it doesn't protect me when I'm talking to my supervisor, and I can't just say anything and everything, and that there is a punitive consequence. So it really is combining two different cases that kind of touch on a similar component, but they're not exactly the same. But there is a warning in there to remind yourself that there is a difference between work and not work. I'm not sure what policy is in it, but it's probably in the section that's just for the board. This is more of a HR section. But you can go to schools, you can hold town halls and have people come and just yip at you. Or you can have a topic that you want to share and then hold a listening session on it. You're still free to do all of that. This is just a reminder that in our organizational structure, this is the structure, and we adhere to that structure when we're dealing with workplace issues. But it doesn't prevent you from engaging.
No, yeah, I just think the confusion too for me is like,
Thank you.
right, thank you, it's titled board staff communications, so then my mind was just thinking about board and staff, and there's all these layers of communication in between, which I get. So that's where I was coming from.
Yeah, there might be an AGM, this maybe not, we haven't got to those yet, but this is a first reading.
Okay, do you have any other comments? Okay, we did have a motion and a second, so, without any further comments or discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay, awesome. That passes. And we'll move on to item D, vouchers payable.
I would like to make a motion to approve vouchers payable for the dates of October 24th, 2025 through November 6th, 2025 in the amount of $652,908.28.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion or comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No? Okay, we're good. Future agenda item, consent agenda. Okay, so the items on the consent agenda are the minutes from October 27th and October 29th. Ms. Holzman, I'm not sure if you were around for those, you can vote or you can abstain.
I kind of need to split. I was there for the 29th, but not the 27th, so I don't know if I do this in two steps.
Well, you have the motion to split them, I believe. Let's just keep them together, so if you want to
I'll
abstain,
abstain.
that's fine.
Great,
Okay.
easiest way.
All right, so I need a motion to approve the October 27th and October 29th 2025 Board of Education meeting minutes.
All motion.
I have a motion and a second by Mr. Kramer. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained?
Yep.
Okay, super. All right.
And Shelley abstains, correct?
And then finally, anybody have any future board agenda items?
So the only thing I want to bring up, and this might be a little premature, is to get an update on that Gifted and Talented program. I know that we have brought somebody on board very recent. And, just to let us know, like, what we can expect to kind of get, like, the update and what's going on in that area.
I believe that's coming through the curriculum committee perhaps to start this week. I know we talked about it.
Yeah,
We
They're
talked about
getting
number
monthly curriculum, and I think it was this winter we said, so it won't be November, based on the agenda, it may not be December, but perhaps January. So
Okay.
yes, we did bring on a part-time person, she's doing a fabulous job with a lot of things behind the scenes, and just starting to trickle things out to schools, so.
Yeah, I have a lot of parents that are excited to, see what is happening in that arena and get updates on what that looks like at different grade levels. So I just wanted to.
Yep,
Bring
Ms. Riegel is giving me regular updates about the onset of that program. And we are excited about the second half of the year, and then also the plan for next year, obviously being more than this year, and ramping up in a way that's sustainable over time.
Yes.
And so that was one of the things that when we talked, we didn't want to just start throwing programs and doing things that weren't sustainable. We wanted to make sure to build a base and have a sustainable program going forward. But it is new, but an important part in addition to curriculum learning.
Yes, we're very excited.
I just want to say thank you for, with the future agenda items, having the false finance and doing a specific school each month. I look forward to that in the future. And I really liked hearing the students sing the Pledge of Allegiance. That was just cute to hear kids' voices. So thank you for having that on the agenda.
Yeah, and the one student I thought he did great.
Yeah.
As he wanted to talk to me, he says, I wish I would have said more. He did great. If you're listening, you did outstanding. You did a great job. So.
And I will say too that I know in the past, you know, there were times in the past where we would have just like one or two people come and be honored, and, you know, they didn't have like a whole group of people here to celebrate them along with other people. So I really like the fact that we're kind of clumping them together, and the entire school is here to support one another, and, you know, families and friends and loved ones. So it was certainly, I think, it was a really enjoyable experience, and I'm glad that, you know, each and every meeting coming up, we've got a new school to celebrate.
Yep. Next in December, it's going to be the high school. So I was just talking to Mr. Gebauer about that today. I was sitting in a building leadership team meeting before coming to this meeting. So he's got some pretty good ideas about what I'll be bringing forward in December from the high school.
All right, and so we're at the end of our agenda. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion.
Can I get a second, please? All right, motion and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.
Jesse, the sheet was there, I will give you yours back. I will give you ours. Well, you have to give it next Friday. I got it. Thank you, Micah.